Here are 20 online reviews of the audiobook titled, The 4 Agreements. Written by Don Miguel Ruiz and narrated by Peter Coyote. 1. I've read/listened to this book multiple times. This book has been life-changing for me. He is very repetitive, which is essential for us to really utilize the 4 agreements he presents in this book and his others. Go into this book with an open heart and you won't be able to put it down. The stories are phenomenal. I hope it helps you as much as it has helped me. 2. Thought-provoking. This book was sent to me by my husband and I was hesitant to listen, but thankful I did. The domestication of humanity and the transition from the innocence of childhood into adulthood is complicated, but this explains it beautifully. 3. It's all in your head. I like to read philosophy books, both old and new. This wasn't my favorite, but it's pretty digestible. This book is all about freeing yourself from common human thoughts and actions that hold us back. While it makes some good points, 4 of them, it didn't seem comprehensive. An alternative that I recommend is The Practicing Stoic, which is much more rich with examples from all sides of life. 4. Life-changing. Incredible. Beautiful perspective of life, love, God, being, self, understanding, self-respect, and self-love. I loved every minute of it. Thank you, Don Miguel Ruiz. Thank you. 5. Informative. This book is really insightful. You realize after reading this book that the world does in fact revolve around you. No matter what others do or say to you, you can let it hurt or don't care for it. It's amazing to see how much we hurt ourselves and blame others for it. You can't control anyone else but you, so why complain or get upset when it's someone else who wronged you? Emotions are the reason why we don't excel as humans. We get them too involved in everything we do. We look to people for answers that we already know ourselves. This book was great. 6. It's okay. It was very simply written and very easy to understand. The only issue I had was that the lessons you're supposed to get out of it are stated and then it feels like the author used a bunch of filler words to complete the chapter. Like he didn't know what else to say after he made his point, so he rambled off for a while, repeating himself a lot, until he had a lot of pages. You know how old people tell stories? Yup, that's what it's like. That's not to say that what he said wasn't good, but he said it in a lot of unnecessary words. Overall, the lessons were good, and it's a good place to start if you're taking steps to overall better yourself and your life. Just requires a bit of patience. 7. Magical thinking. This book starts off fine. Most of it has to do with understanding how our relationship with ourselves and others has a direct effect on our lives. Therefore we need to be intentional and generally good with what we say and do. However, the moment that the author makes an assertion that saying a friend looks like they might have cancer can cause them to have cancer, I turned it off. I thought the author talked about magic metaphorically, but I think they mean it literally. No one needs that BS, and magical thinking is a drain on society. 8. Remaining skeptical. I did find a few useful tidbits in this book, but I do not believe this is the cure-all as so projected. The book feels bossy. I prefer books that are more science-based regarding the psyche and finding peace, than following too much philosophy. You might find some pieces that are useful for you, otherwise find a nice novel. 9. Society is bad, so be good to yourself. This book is self-contradictory at times, and its target audience is suited towards those who want an excuse for anything and everything not going well in their lives. This is not a scholarly book by any stretch, rather it is a book with a pretty cover that you can put on your coffee table where it can be a focused topic of idle chatter. 10. Very good and inspirational read. I really enjoyed this audiobook and its informational and inspirational message. By the time I finished it, I felt like I could do anything. I am going to be much more intentional about my thoughts and words, realizing the power that I have. I also realized I can't control anything around me, but I can control my own reactions and emotions behind it. I was so pleased from this book. I will be getting the 5th agreement to follow this one up. I definitely recommend this book as a read if you are in an area of self-reflection or even to help your mindset when dealing with other people around you. Happy reading. 11. Optimal experience. I purchased the book. I used the credit to get the Audible and found that I have purchased the book before. I found out that I saw myself in every agreement. I'm grateful to understand how to change my life, how to change my experience. It's only a dream. I used to say because of this I may not make it to heaven, but heaven is already here. I have to receive it. I don't have to die to get the things that I really desire. I'll walk the streets of gold. I now understand that I must not judge, I must not hold things personally, I must not make assumptions, and I must do my very best. I'm so grateful and so thankful for this book experience. I'm reading the next book. 12. Underwhelming. This book describes the inner thoughts of a man whom believes himself to have an inner wisdom of all life's experiences. Whether intended or not, his self-meditation on the inner complexities of human nature is woefully inadequate. 13. Ambivalent. Have never had more mixed feelings about a book. Absolute treasures of insight and wisdom in places, interlaced with esoteric mysticism and some out-of-the-blue statements like, your mind can exist in multiple dimensions at once. With no mention of those alleged dimensions. Multiple references to Jesus and the Bible spun in ways that even good literary scholars would say don't IGN with the intent of the source's material, etc. So, if you can pass some things that might make you question yours and / or the author's sanity, there are some great insights to be had. 14. Life-changing. I needed this. My husband recommended this book to me, and I'm glad I decided to read this because this month I mourn my mother's death and I usually get pretty low, so this book really helps me in a major way. I recommend this to anyone who needs to heal. 15. Such a great book with amazing lessons. I just wish it wasn't so religious-based. Similar to The Artist's Way and other spiritual books, it's quite hard to find a good one that stays away from mentioning God as often as this book does. For anyone else who is spiritual without religion and doesn't believe in a specific God, I like to replace the word God with my own, universe, earth, myself. 16. Good perspective. This book will give you an interesting perspective. However, it is a false gospel that removes the cross of Jesus Christ and replaced it with universal truth. If you are not a Christian, this book may be helpful practically, but ultimately it is the Lord who is our helper and not the divinity of ourselves. No disrespect is intentioned, it's just for me, I had to filter out what did not align with the Word of God. Basically, take the meat and spit out the bones with this book. 17. Great for beginners. If you're new to the world of self-improvement and psychology, this is a great starter on understanding that you are not your thoughts, not everything you think is true, and that you get to choose your emotions. This book is short, sweet, and to the point. The biggest thing I got from it is that everything you believe about yourself is something that you agreed to believe. With that being said, this book is heavy on the why and light on the how. So if you're looking for something on how, I'd probably look into some literature on learning to be present or even CBT. 18. The most valuable thing I own. This book is single-handled the most valuable thing I own, not for the message it sends but by the peace it brings. Giving you home and boundless freedom. Introducing to you the concept of life all over again, for in the end you control yours until you don't, and even if you find yourself lost again, this book will help you back up because the 4 agreements and applicable in every aspect of your life. I will recommend this to all, both in struggle and out, for this will improve the quality of your life so long as you believe and have faith that it will. 19. Missing huge amounts of the text. I was reading while listening, both together, and realized there are huge amounts of the text in the book missing and left out of the Audible book. Extremely disappointing. Had I not been doing both, I would never have known how much is left out of the Audible book compared to the written book. Why is this? It's a big problem. I never knew Audible did this with their books. The book needs to be re-recorded by the reader in order not to miss half the book. No wonder it only takes 2 HRS and 31 minutes. Granted, it is a small book, but buyer beware, you're not getting the whole book. This is the first time I am aware of this problem with Audible and would have hoped that the author of the book had some input about. Please be advised on this one. Now I am of mind to check my other Audible books for missing text. 20. Absolutely a must. I am honored that the universe brought this book into my life. This is not a or time read book, this is a book that I plan to read at least once a week, rather listen to. This is the first day in a long time that I feel true inner peace and feel basked in love and light. Thank you, Don Miguel. Also, Peter Coyote did an incredible job reading the book. Thank you for watching. Please, do not forget to subscribe, like and share this video. Tune in for more online audiobooks reviews.